Hello, in this podcast we're going to be learning about the structure of DNA, and our learning objective is to understand the structure of DNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and if you look at what's bold, the letters that are bold there, that's where we get the initials DNA from the term. Most DNA is found in the nucleus, though you will find some in two organelles, the mitochondrion and the chloroplast. The reason why they're found in those two is because way back, probably about 1 billion years ago, the mitochondria and chloroplast ancestors were free-living organisms that had a symbiotic relationship with another organism, and now it's so together that if you take them out, they'll be dead. But a bit of a leftover is that they still have DNA. And remember last unit we were studying chromosomes. Each chromosome is a molecule of DNA. The purpose of it is that the DNA contains all the genes and epigenes. Epigenes are stretches of DNA that control the genes. The DNA also contains, it is also part of what you originally had there, is genes are the genetic information, as are the epigenes. So that DNA contains all the genetic information of the organism. And the genetic information is most of what makes our traits. And the part of the traits that are inherited, the reason why they're inherited is because DNA is passed on to offspring. So your eye color is something that is a trait that would be inherited, and something that would not be would be, for example, if you go down to Jamaica and you get a tan, that's a trait, but it's not something that is inherited. Something that comes from the environment. Here's a song where we are going to have to sing in class, so you might as well practice it and excuse my voice as I sing it. And it's very important in terms of helping you remember the structure. And it's to the tune of Row, Row, Row Your Boat. We love DNA made of nucleotides, sugar, phosphate, and a base bonded down one side. Adenine and thymine make a lovely pair. Cytosine without guanine would feel very bare. Oh, deoxyribonucleic acid. RNA is ribonucleic acid. Now we're going to go through the song bit by bit, and we're going to see how this song has to do with the structure of DNA. So the first one, we love DNA made of nucleotides. Well, a nucleotide, as we learned way back in the fall, is a nucleotide is the repeating unit of nucleic acids. Nucleic acids are DNA and RNA. And remember some other of the repeating units like carbohydrates, the basic unit was sugar, and like starch is just a whole long chain of glucoses, and glucose is a sugar. Proteins are long chain of amino acids, and actually we'll be getting more into that and how we get that later on in this unit, because the instructions for making every single protein is found in the genetic code in DNA. Well, if you look at the picture here, this is a this is a chemical diagram that shows the structure of a nucleotide, and you'll see that it's of each atom that is in it, and it has three parts. There's a nitrogenous base, a sugar, and a phosphate group. You do not have to know the details of the structure here for the Regents exam or any of my exams. But you do need to know that you've got a phosphate group, and though that's misspelled there, that should be a P, not an O, and a sugar and a nitrogenous base. And the sugar's name is deoxyribose, and that's the D in DNA. Now the phosphate and the sugar don't change. In every single nucleotide in DNA, they are exactly the same. It's the base that changes, and it's within the base that we find our genetic code. There are 4 bases found in DNA. Adenine, which is abbreviated as A, thymine, which is abbreviated as T, guanine is abbreviated as G, and cytosine, which is abbreviated as C. If you look at the second line in there, sugar, phosphate, and a base bonded down one side. If you look at the bottom of this, there you see our nucleotide in miniature, and you see that they're each bonded down one side, and we've got a second chain on this. We've got 2 chains there, and it goes sugar, phosphate, base, sugar, phosphate, base. At 2 strands, DNA is double-stranded. and it coils like a spiral staircase. So we actually call that a double helix. The backbone are sugar, phosphate, and on the inside we find the bases. You can sort of see that in here, that the bases sort of stick together using hydrogen bonds. I'll show you a demo of that right now. Okay, I'm now going to demonstrate for you hydrogen bonding. This is something you can do at home, and you could also observe it too by seeing how many drops of water you can fit on a penny. Now here I have some string, and you're going to see the water sticking to the water. That's hydrogen bonding, and instead of going straight down like this, you're going to see hydrogen bonding to the string. So as you saw, except when the string left the water over here, the water went down the string instead of going straight down. That is a hydrogen bond, and it's the same kind of bond that holds the bases together to keep two strands together in the DNA molecule. Adenine and thymine make a lovely pair. That's a very important thing to remember, because adenine and thymine are the things which bond together, and they only bond to each other in DNA. And you can sort of see why here when we see the other one. If you note on this diagram showing the structure of the two, the dashed lines are the hydrogen bonds, and there are two dashed lines there. So you've got two bonds between adenine and thymine. On the other hand, the other two, cytosine and guanine, you see cytosine without guanine would feel very bare. That's the way to remember that G goes with C. A goes with T, G goes with C, and that's it. And you see, then this is why. You see cytosine and guanine, there we've got three bonds and not two. So they sort of fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. And you have to remember, A goes with T, G goes with C. It will be in your next test, and it will be on the regions. I have no idea if the questions are on the regions, but every single region, it's on there. You have to know it. And as I said before, the bases contain the genetic code. The sequences of those four bases determine every single gene. In some cases, if you change just one letter, one base, that can mean the whole difference between life and death for you, or between a healthy life and an unhealthy life. Sometimes, though, it may not be as crucial, and you can get a whole bunch of changes, and it won't make any difference whatsoever. Basically, our DNA, our chromosomes, that is the blueprint for you. It's a blueprint for every single organism, their DNA. Now we're up to the concluding questions. Number 1, what is the shape of a DNA molecule? Number 2, what are the parts of a nucleotide? Number 3, which parts of the nucleotide don't change? Number 4, cytosine bonds with blank. And for that, put down the nitrogenous base the cytosine bonds with. Number 5, thymine bonds with blank. And for that, put down the nitrogenous base that thymine bonds with. So that concludes our broadcast on the structure of DNA. And I'll see you tomorrow in class, where we are going to construct a model of DNA.